In the last class, we finished or completed chapter 8. We are not going to start in chapter 9. I prefer to start or to take some practical exercises and applications on chapter 7 and 8, and then once we have finished these applications on chapter 7 and 8, we will go to chapter 9, right? So let's begin with the applications and practical exercises on chapter 7, right? Let's take the following example or exercise. As you see, that the average monthly balance in Toy's bank account is $650, right? Tony spends the same amount on the money each day during the month, and at the end of the month, his account balance is 0. Tony's monthly starting balance is how much? To understand the idea, in order to answer this question, let's take the formula and then take the solution. Yes.
I can multiply the average monthly balance by 2.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So the formula for the average monthly balance equals salary, or the monthly salary, over 2, right? This is the starting monthly salary. Starting monthly salary, or the average monthly balance, equals the starting monthly salary over 2, right? So the starting monthly salary equals average monthly balance times 2. So the starting monthly salary equals the average monthly balance equals 650 times 2 equals $1,300. Right? Okay? Okay, let's go to another example. This example or this exercise, the same. Here we have the average monthly salary is $2,000, and at the beginning of the month, he receives salary, or he or she, yes, and then the average or the monthly starting balance is how much? This is the question. The same. As you see that the average monthly balance is 2,000. So the starting monthly salary equals the average monthly balance, which is 2,000 times 2 equals $4,000. That's it. Right? Okay. Let's go to another example. Here we have the average monthly balance for Yolanda's account is $1,800. تمام؟ طيب. And Yolanda spends the same amount of money each day during 30 days a month. الانفاق تبعها بيكون متساوي خلال الشهر. يعني يوم daily she spends the same amount. هلا إذن قديش؟ هلا السؤال بيقول نهان Yolanda spends her monthly at constant rate of how much per day? We have to calculate the starting monthly balance and then divided by 30 days. وبالتالي بيطلع عندي قديش حجم الانفاق اليومي. هلا قديش المونثلي سالري تبعها؟ The starting monthly balance or salary equals average monthly balance times 2, right? So the starting monthly balance or the starting monthly salary equals how much? $1,800 times 2 equals $3,600, right? This is the starting monthly salary or balance. Now, yes, now to calculate how much does she spend every day. So the daily or the spending per day, exactly, the starting monthly balance over 30. Yes, starting monthly balance over 30 equals 3,600 over 30 equals how much? 120. That's it. تمام؟ صعب الأمور؟ Okay. Let's go to the following example. It's related to the average monthly, average money holding, average bond holding, net profits, the optimization, and so on. So as you see, in this example, we have the number of switches, the average money holding, the average bond holding, the interest earned. تمام? Let's go to the questions. Refer to the table. If it costs $11 each time a bond is sold, يعني كل ما بدنا نروح نبيع البوند بندفع $11 هدول as a fees، يعني كرسوم. تمام؟ The optimal average money holding are equals قديش؟ We have to calculate the net profits, right? In order to determine the optimal balance, and then we can determine the optimal money holding, the average, the optimal bonds holding, and so on, right? Exactly. So to calculate the net profits, we have to calculate the total cost of switches, and then we can deduct or calculate the net profits by deducting the cost, the total cost of switches from the interest earned. مظبوط؟ إذن عشان أنا أحسب net profits بدي أجيب cost of switches، تمام؟ وأقول interest earned minus cost of switches بعطيني net profits، وأعلى the highest net profits بيكون هو optimal balance، وبناء عليه بحدد شو optimals المطلوبة. Right? So let's calculate the cost of the switches. Costs of switches. For the first case, the cost of switches equal the cost of switches equals the number of switches, number of switches times the cost per switch, per sold of switches. تكلفة البيع لكل وحدة. مظبوط؟ لكل عملية. طيب. So our assumption is the cost per switch equals $11. مظبوط؟ عند $11 لتكلفة السويتش الواحد. So for the first case 11 times 0 0, right? 11 times 1 11, 22, 33, 44, right? Let's calculate the net profits to determine the optimal balance, and then the optimal average money holding and bond holding and so on. So let's calculate the net profits. The net profits, interest earned minus the cost of switches. 0 minus 0, 0. 30 minus 11, 19. 40 minus 22, 18. 45 minus 33, how much? 12. And 8, 6. Right? So, where is the optimal balance?
19.
Yes. Exactly. So let's the optimal balance, which gives the highest net profits. صح؟ أعلى واحد بيعطيني أو أفضل واحد بيعطيني أعلى ربح هو بيكون الأوبتيمال بالانس، وبالتالي it equals to 19, right? So the optimal, in this case, the optimal net profit equals how much? 19. هيو. طيب. The optimal number of switches equals how much? 1. Yes. So the optimal number of switches equals 1. Exactly. اللي هو قديش 600. So the optimal average money holding equals 600. هيو كل واحد بالمقابل تبعه قديش بيجي هذا. So the optimal average money holding equals $600. طيب الافريج بوند the optimal average bond holding قديش؟ exactly هي تمام. So the optimal average bond holding equals 600. طيب الoptimal cost of switches 11. yes هي. إذا أنا ظللت وحددت الoptimal net profits عمليا بحدد كل شيء، كل الاوبتيمالز اللي بقابلها عمليا هو الحلول، هو الاوبتيمالز. مظبوط. طيب so the optimal cost of switches equals 11. طيب الoptimal interest earned equals 30. yes that's it. تمام. طيب suppose or how much is the interest rate?
5%. 3 interest earned and 3
yes
divided by the average bond holding.
Exactly. Thank you. So let's calculate the interest rate for this exercise. So the question is calculate the interest rate. The interest rate equals the interest earned over the average bond holding. هاي القانون تبعه، الفورمولا هيك اللي هو interest earned over the average bond holding خد أي كيس، خد الكيس هذا 30 over 600 قديش بيكون؟ 30 over 600 equals 0.5 500 500,000 sorry 500%. 5% تمام. طيب خد الكيس الثاني 40 over 800 قديش؟ the same. 45 over 900 the same, right? طيب now suppose that the optimal the average or the cost per switch has been changed. يعني صار في عندنا تغيير في الكوست of switches وصار 7 في changes بصير في الoptimals بصير. So let's do change in the average or the cost per switch. So let's come back to the exercise, refer to the table. If the cost is $7 each time a bond is sold, the optimal average money holding are how much? هذا السؤال. So we have to change the cost of switches, and we have to determine the new optimal balance. صح? Exactly. we have to calculate the new net profits. And the cost of switches 7, 0 here, and then 7 times 1 7, 7 times 2 14, 21 28, right? مظبوط. طيب قديش؟ yes. هيا it's assumption. It's given here. هي شايف السؤال شو بقول؟ If it costs $7 each time a bond is sold. يعني كل ما بدك تبيع البوندز بدك تدفع $7. هذا السؤال. So here we have to calculate the net profits. Interest earned minus a cost of switch is 0. 30 minus 7. 23. No. 26, yes. And then 45 minus 21. 24. How much? 22, yes. 22. So, where is the new optimal balance? Yes, at 62, which gives the highest net profits. مظبوط? إذن, where is the new optimal balance? 26, right? طيب, where is, exactly, yes. The new optimal number of switches 2. The new optimal number of money holding 400. The new optimal average bond holding is 800, and so on. تمام؟ صعب الأمور؟ هلا بالامتحان العام الماضي جبنا هذا الكلام. بس تفهموا. تمام، أوكي. يعني هاي أهم حاجة إنه تعرف تطبق عليه يعني. تمام؟ أوكي. طيب, let's go to another example. هلا شايفين بيعمل تغيير في changes في الكوست, بعدين بيطلب لك إشي تاني, the highest profits. هنا طالب الكوست of switches والnumber of switches and so on. طيب, let's go to another type of or other types of questions. Here, as you see, the shortage in money market can be eliminated by what? Let's go to the equilibrium in the money market. In the money market, the equilibrium occurs when money supply intersects the money demand curve. And this is E1, R1, QM1. The question is, the shortage in money market can be eliminated by what? Or through how? What? Here we have a shortage in money market because the quantity of money demanded, QMD, is larger or higher than QMS. In this case, there is what? A shortage. How could we? Yes, a shift of what? Exactly, yes. So, okay, but the best solution is to increase the money supply. Yes. So, in order to eliminate the shortage in the money market, we have to increase the money supply. From money supply 1 to money supply 2. By how much? How could we increase the money supply? This is the question. هلا كيف ممكن نزود المونey supply? Yeah, exactly. Number 1. تمام. So we have 3 main tools to increase the money supply. Number 1, we can decrease the required reserve ratio, or decreasing the discount rate, or purchasing or buying bonds. صح? These are the main tools to increase the money supply. تمام؟ طيب. What is the relationship between the price of bonds and the interest rate? Is it negative or positive? يعني suppose, let's come back to the assumption. Suppose that you have an old bond and the price of this bond is $1,000. The interest rate was 10%. تمام? And they issued a new bonds with a $1,000, but the interest rate is 12%. شو بصير في السعر القديم هذا؟ بينزل، صح؟
Because I prefer to buy the new bond.
Exactly. لأنه الناس بتفضل تروح تشتري جديد with highest interest rate وبالتالي exactly. So there is a negative relationship between the price of bonds سعر البوند هذا والinterest rate. ما دام الانترست ريت طلع الناس حتروح تشتري جديد. البونز الجديد اللي هو بانترست ريت أعلى. طب عشان يقدر هذا يسوق الموجود عنده لازم ايش؟ ينزل السعر تبع. He has to decrease the price of bonds in order to be able to market it or to sell it. صح؟ طيب let's go to the following exercise or for an example. Ernesto bought a 10% bond a year ago for $15,000. هذا مشتري بوند، قيمة البوند هذا $15,000 على interest rate 10%، 10%. تمام؟ طيب the market interest rate has increased to 20%. طلعوا بونز جديد بانترست ريت 20%، وبالتالي بطل قادر يبيع البونز تبعه هذا بنفس السعر، مظبوط، او بالسعر اللي هو بده اياه. So Ernesto wants to sell the bond. هلا صار بفكر بده يبيع البوند هذا تبعه. تمام؟ To be able to sell the bond, Ernesto must charge a price of no more than how much? هلا صار بفكر بده يبيع البوند تبعه اللي هو عليه انترست 10%، بكم ممكن يبيعه؟ هذا السؤال. لازم يبيعه بسعر اقل، صح؟ لانه لو باعوا بنفس السعر ما حدش بيشتريه. الناس بتفضل they would prefer to buy bonds with higher interest rate اللي هو 20%. مظبوط؟ We have a formula to calculate the best price for Ernesto in order to sell the old bond. القانون ايش بيقول؟ انه the price of، خلينا نقول the optimal price or the best price equals، طبعا هذا عشان البيست برايس اللي هو افضل سعر ممكن يبيع فيه عشان يسوق، equals the price of bond times R1 the interest rate, the initial interest rate هذا over the second interest rate. هذا القانون اللي تشتغلوا عليه. So yes, equals the price of bonds $15,000 times the interest rate, the initial interest rate is 10% over the new interest rate. خلينا نحكي هذا old interest rate and the new issued interest rate اللي هو R2 20% equals 7,500. تمام؟ طيب suppose انه الانترست ريت هذا راحوا عاملين اصدار جديد new issued bonds with 5%، يعني بدل 20% راحوا مصدرين بونز جديد ب5%. How much is the new price or how can yes 30,000. خلينا نشوف. So the best price equals the price of bond $15,000 times 10% over 0.05. قديش هذا بيكون هيك؟ 1,500 over 0.0 13,000 $1,000. إذا صار قادر إنه يبيعه بأعلى من سعره، صح؟ الضعف. تمام؟ So طيب let's go to J put a 10%. هذا نفس السؤال اللي حليناه الجيت، إنه إحنا غيرنا بس في إيه؟ صار في عندنا decreasing في الانترست ريت. As you see, J put a 10% bond a year ago for $20,000, right? The market interest rate has decreased to 5%. لكن بيقدر يبيع البوند اللي عنده. هذا السؤال. So the same. The best price would be قديش سعره؟ $20,000 times 0.1 over 5%. قديش بيقدر يبيعه؟ Yes, $40,000. هذا السؤال اجى بالاكزام الفاينل اكزام المره الماضيه بالمالتيبل تشويس. طيب let's go to another exercise or another. The speculative demand for money is positively related to income, positively related to interest rate, or negatively with interest rate. طيب in general شباب speculative demand for money له علاقة بالinterest rate. تمام؟ But the transaction demand for money له علاقة بإيش؟ بالincome, for the prices and the number of transactions. تمام؟ إذا خلينا نحدد. The speculative demand for money اللي هو الطلب على النقود لأغراض المضاربة يضارب على الانترست ريت. أنت مظبوط؟ بس الطلب على النقود لأغراض للمبادلات عشان تشتري لك علاقة بالإنكم في the prices and the number or amount of transactions. تمام؟ So let's come back to this question. The speculative demand for money is positive or negative مع interest rate. هاي money demand. This is the money demand curve. And this is our interest rate QM A R1. Increasing and the interest rate to R2 leads to a decreasing in the quantity of money demanded for speculation. So there is a negative relationship between the interest rate and the quantity demand for money for transaction. For speculation. The transaction demand for money is positive or negative or what else to the prices or income. As we mentioned, the transaction demand for money is related to income, the prices and the amount of transactions. خلينا نشوف شو العلاقات. إذن increasing in the prices means or leads to increasing in money demand for transaction. صح? So there is a positive relationship between the prices and money demand. طيب income, increasing income means increasing of the number of transactions. صح؟ عدد المبادلات بيزيد. So this leads to increasing of money demand. So there is also a positive relationship between income and the money demand for transactions. طيب increasing في amount of transactions or the number of transactions also leads to increasing of money demand. So والإجابة positive related with the aggregate income. طيب if the interest rate increased to a very high level, إذا سعر الفائدة كان عالي كثير، وين الناس بتروح؟ تشتري bonds. صح؟ And less cash. هي. So the answer is A. Which of the following will most likely cause a decrease in the quantity of money demand? شو اللي بيخلي the quantity of money demand to decrease؟ هاي المونey, this is the money demand. R1, R2, QM1, QMD2. شو اللي بيخلي في عندنا decreasing في the quantity of money demand؟ اللي هو الانكريزنج في الانترست ريت. صح؟ The transaction demand for money هذا أخذناه. The transaction demand for money depends on إيش؟ the prices اللي هو the price level. طيب let's go to this diagram. As you see هلا shifting from A to D اللي هو الانتقال من منحنى ال MD1 to MD2 from suppose من A ل D هذا نتيجة إيش؟ Maybe إنه the price is increased, the income increased, or the number transaction increased. صح؟ هذا بينقله من منحنى لمنحنى. صح؟ From MD1 to MD2. طيب the same. The shifting or the transfer from C to E. Maybe there is a decreasing in an income, decreasing the prices, decreasing the number of transactions. صح؟ طيب from C to A at the same, along the same demand curve or the money demand curve is shifting from A to C. Maybe there is an increasing or definitely there is an increase in the interest rate. تمام؟ طيب هدول الأسئلة كلهم عليه. طيب let's go to this example. The shifting from A to C or the decrease in the interest rate from 7 to 5%. Exactly. There is a decreasing in the interest rate and the quantity of money demanded شو صار فيها? Increased or decreased? Suppose here there is a decreasing in the interest rate. Exactly. There is an increase in the quantity of money demanded from 100 to 150. تمام؟ طيب from C to D, the shifting from C to D may be because what? Increasing in income, increasing the prices, exactly, the number of transactions. Thank you. Yes. طيب let's go to حاضر. From C to D, what are the main causes for the shifting from C to D? As you see, the interest rate is constant. وبالتالي شو اللي خلانا نروح من C ل D to another from MD1 to MD2? Maybe the income increased لأنه the increasing في income, the aggregate income بيزود the money demand. So there is a rightward shifting for the money demand curve from MD1 to MD2. Or the prices increased or the number of transactions increased. Yes. Movement. Okay, let's go to this example. If the bond is paid off 1 year from now for $220 and is purchased for $200, what is the interest rate? هذا السؤال اللي جاء في الامتحان المرة اللي فاتت بالمالتيبل تشويس. هلا احنا بعد سنة البوند سعره 220 واحنا مشتريينه ب 200. قديش الانترست ريت؟ هلا في فورمولا للكالكوليشن هذا. الفورمولا الانترست ريت equals the new price of bond minus the old price or the origin or the initial price over the old price or the initial price of bond. هلا الانترست ريت so interest rate equals قديش النيو برايس 220 minus 200 over 200 equals 20 over 200 equals 10%. That's it. طيب suppose the interest rate is given equals 10%. Suppose the interest rate equals, this is another question, 10%. The old price or the bond is purchased for $200 or $2,000. This is the old price of bond equals $2,000. How much is the value of the bond after 1 year? قديش قيمته بعد سنة؟ على القانون هذا R equals 0.10 equals the new price minus 2,000 over 2,000. So 0.1 equals times 2,000 equals the new minus 2,000. So 200 equals the new minus 2,000. So the new equals 2,200. That's it. طبعا بس this is the formula. You have to use the following formula to reach the answer, the correct answer. طب suppose انه the new is given. خلينا نشوف another example. It's the same here. Okay, here if the bond is to pay off 1 year from now for $600, سعره بعد سنة $600, and the interest rate is 20%. What is the price of the bond? تمام. عوض في الفورمولا. الانترست rate 20,000 equals the new equals how much? 600 minus the old over the old. ضرب تبادلي بصير عندنا شو؟ 0.20 times the old equals 600 minus the old. صح؟ 600 minus the old. So 0.22 old equals okay ماشي plus old equals 600. 1.2 old equals 600. So the old equals 500. That's it. تمام؟ إذا أي سؤال ممكن يجيك هيك تشتغل فيه هيك. Let's go to the following figure. As you see, we have an equilibrium in the money market at point, or at the equilibrium interest rate is 5%. تمام؟ طيب. Suppose إنه interest rate was 9%. The original or the equilibrium interest rate is 5%. Suppose إنه interest rate was 8%. في عندنا excess supply of money or shortage supply of money? Excess supply of money, because the quantity of money supplied is larger than or greater than the quantity of money demanded. Suppose إنه كنا هنا هيك quantity of money demanded was 100. قديش عندي excess supply of money? Exactly 50. For 150 minus 100. طيب suppose إنه كان الوضع هيك إنه interest rate was 3%. عندنا إيش؟ shortage supply of money, because the quantity of money demanded is larger than the quantity of money supplied. Suppose إنه هذا كان هيك 180. How much is the shortage? 30. طب how could we solve the shortage? Exactly, by increasing the money supply. So to solve the shortage of money supply, we have to increase the money supply by decreasing. Exactly.
Increasing the discount rate and buying the bonds.
Exactly. Thank you. طيب, if the interest rate was at 3%, the interest rate في هذه الحالة in this case tends to increase or to decrease? To increase, yes, to reach the equilibrium. طب هان at the interest rate 8%, there is a tendency for interest rate to decline. تمام؟ طيب. What about, suppose there is a shifting in the money demand curve. As you see, this is the original money demand curve. Money demand curve 1, A1. Suppose that the money demand curve shifts to the right. What would happen to the equilibrium interest rate? To MD2. The interest rate would what? Would increase to R2, for suppose from 5% to 7%. But what about the quantity of money holding remains constant. صح؟ مظبوط ولا لا؟ طيب suppose إنه money demand decline to MD3. There is a leftward shifting of the money demand curve. Exactly. There is a decreasing in the interest rate, and the quantity of money holding remains constant at 150. تمام؟ طيب suppose there is a shifting in the money supply curve. And this is the original money supply. أيوه هيك. وهذا this is the original money demand. This is MD1, MS1. Suppose that there is a rightward shifting in the money supply curve. What would happen to the to the interest rate, the equilibrium interest rate? This is E1, E2. The interest rate would what? Would decline. And the money holding, the quantum money holding would increase. And vice versa. Suppose the money supply curve shifts to the left, to MS3. There is what? There is an increasing in the interest rate and declining in the quantum money holding. مظبوط؟ طيب. Suppose that income increased, or the GDP increased, and the discount rate increased. What are the main effects on the in the equilibrium interest rate? يعني suppose هيك الوضع. The question is, خلينا نشوف. The question بيقول إنه suppose that the GDP increased. تمام. And at the same time, the discount rate or the required reserve ratio increased. What are the main effects of these policies on the equilibrium interest rate? يعني شو اللي صار في equilibrium interest rate?
Leftward shifting in money supply curve and increasing the interest rate.
خلينا نشوف. تعال اعملها شوف. تعال اعمل لي كل كيس لحاله. يعني اعمل analysis للincreasing في الجي بي وشوف تأثيره على الواي والmoney demand and so on, the interest rate. لا تنساش, don't forget. increasing بالGDP اللي هو عبارة عن الواي, مظبوط. increasing. لا اعمل الاناليسيس, بديش رسم هالقد. اعمل الاناليسيس هيك.
increasing بالGDP.
yes. increased output اللي هو الواي. yes. للmoney demand. yes. yes. money demand. Exactly. yes. yes. go ahead. no. exactly. increased. هيعمل increasing في money demand. yes. اعمل rightward shifting للmoney demand curve. So the interest rate would what? increase. تمام. exactly. طيب شوف لي increasing for required reserve ratio شو تأثيره على money supply وبالتالي على interest rate.
declining in money supply.
exactly.
From money supply to
exactly. okay.
increasing.
Exactly. Thank you. So what are the result or the what is the change in the equilibrium interest rate? Here increased. So the final result would be increasing in the equilibrium interest rate. Thank you. هلا suppose انه the GDP, the prices increased. Suppose that the prices declined, and at the same time, the government sold bonds. في عندنا sold or selling bonds. What would happen to the equilibrium interest rate? Let's analyze. For the first case, the decreasing in the prices leads to a decreasing in money demand, so the interest rate would decline. مظبوط؟ طيب, what about the second case? Selling bonds leads to a decreasing in money supply and then increasing in the interest rate. So the final result is ambiguous, because here the interest rate declined and interest rate increased, so the equilibrium interest rate is indeterminate or ambiguous. صح؟ مظبوط ولا لا؟ يعطيكم العافية. المرة الجاية بنكمل.